Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this our 8th Tech Bites, and it's a special one today. It's the first time we're doing a solus Tech Bites with 3DNA. So I'll introduce our co-founder of 3DNA shortly. But firstly, it's been a while since we've seen you, so wanted to update you on what we're doing with 100% Optical. Obviously, we would have just had the show this time last year back in London. When the world was a bit more normal, and it seems a lot has happened in that time, but it also seems to have gone in a flash. So obviously we've had to postpone again this year, which we're very, very sad about, but we don't want to wait a whole year to see you again. So we're doing a virtual event in May, and we very much hope you can attend that. It will be a 2-day event with different focuses on different days, very much education-led on the Sunday. But we'll also have suppliers on there, and we've got some amazing sponsors already signed up. We've only just launched it, and we've also got an Eyewear Buyers Day on Monday as well. So really exciting, and really lots of support for that already. So do make a date in your diary. We're using the swap card platform for that event, which allows people to be able to go in between different sessions, whether it's CET, maybe meeting suppliers online, one-on-one with video meetings, but also being able to look through product directories, videos, and also maybe catching a few shows and networking events. So we're going to make it as fun and dynamic as we possibly can. So we're really looking forward to seeing you there. So on to today, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions, but we also, if we can, we'll turn on your microphone and talk to you, and we may even be able to turn on your camera as well. So to do that, you can see the GoToWebinar platform has a panel, a control panel, so you can type in your question, or you can raise your hand, and I can try and turn on your camera and your microphone. So we want to hear from you. So thank you in advance for doing that. And the other thing to say is that this webinar is recorded, so if you want to share it with colleagues, or if you think you know someone who would benefit from seeing this back, then you can share it, and it will be up on our platform afterwards on the GoTo stage there. So we can send you the address in an email afterwards. So yes, on to today, and I'm joined by my co-host Jay Shree, who we've been doing this for nearly a year now, Jay Shree. Can you believe
we
that?
have?
How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you again, Nathan, and good to see everybody back again. It's I'm super excited about this this webinar. It's taken a good deal of work, but Dennis is an amazing person, and the company itself is actually going to be one of those companies, I think, that will change the way we think about eye care generally, the whole concept. So I'm super excited.
Me too.
Should I carry on?
Yeah, we're really excited. Absolutely. Please introduce Dennis and a bit about how his journey.
Okay, great. So Dennis is a 3rd generation optician, inventor of the chemistry magnetic lenses, founder of iNation, and co-founder of 3DNA Eyewear, a recipient of Japan's Good Design Award, and recently named in the top 50 retail innovators of Hong Kong. He's a founder of several startups at the intersection of creativity, craftsmanship, and localized production. 3DNA is a startup on a mission to empower the next generation of eye care stakeholders by leveraging technology to create a made-to-spec ecosystem. Dennis is an award winner and recognized industry leader, and has been involved in the development and implementation of optical solutions for 30 years. He has a passion for eye care and eyewear and the patient experience, and has been doing it from a young age. His inspiration to follow his passion results in innovation and invention. He has worked in every facet of the industry, from private practice to retail locations and the whole supply chain. Dennis, welcome to Tech Bites.
Thank you, guys. How are you today?
We're good.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Okay, so where should we start, Dennis?
So I want to talk to everyone today about what's called the Mental Model Club. Before we can get all the opticians to graduate into the Mental Model Club, they need to first compete in the Optical Olympics.
Okay.
So in the Optical Olympics, what we're going to do is we're going to do optical yoga. We're going to stretch and expand our mind with a new lexicon. A lexicon is just like a Rosetta Stone. It's the words we use to describe the pictures that we see. And so we're going to expose you to the biggest trends that have been hiding right under your noses.
Okay.
Is my audio clear? Can you guys hear me perfectly
We
clearly?
can hear you really well. Yes.
Okay, good.
Super clear.
So this can be started with a series of metaphors or analogies, parables, if you will, to help explain the story. So we're going to start with a UK physicist called Julian Barber and his Janus point theory of time. He basically talks about time being, instead of linear as a sequence of steps one after the other, being cyclical, where it starts, runs in a loop, and it goes infinitely forever. And based on this theory, he talks about the second law of thermodynamics, entropy, having a flaw. And I think he's onto something there. Because if you imagine our universe as a balloon, and on the balloon are coins, which are our galaxies. As you inflate that balloon, the coins get further and further apart. But inside the coins, where we are, what's happening is specialization and optimization. As far as we can tell, there are no limits to the number of zeros to the right of the decimal place. And so that means that that optimization mechanism will go on infinitely and the universe will not die in a heat death. And that's very interesting. That's what we call a macro trend, optimization. Now, notice the first three letters, or even the first four letters of that word. Optician, optometrist. You get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to apply the macro trend of specialization and optimization to our lives, our work, and our whole industry. How does that sound?
That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good.
So once you align with the macro trend, you're going to see successes, synchronicities, and money flow into your businesses and your life as things are going to flourish and you're going to thrive. So we looked at what are the current trends in eyewear, in manufacturing, in technology, in culture. What are the current trends? We studied them deeply and we analyzed them. We also have been doing 3DNA for about 5 years in a very, very beta test mode that lets people scan their faces, play with our design app, and order bespoke frames. We've already made over 1,000 pair of bespoke frames in titanium, carbon fiber, platinum, 24 karat gold, seashell wood, acetate, you name it, titanium. We've got all the materials. We've got all this experience making bespoke. So what we want to try to do is optimize that process. And that's what our design app does. 3DNA takes all the Chinese factories, all the European factories, all the material suppliers, and all the knowledge of opticians and condenses it into one simple and easy to use ecosystem.
Amazing.
So we had a scan earlier today. Let me see if I can load up a scan here. Or is your screen, are you able to load the scan locally there?
Do you want me to share? You can share your screen, Dennis. Do you want me to try that?
Yeah. So our ecosystem allows opticians to free themselves from the trap of inventory. Basically, all the inventory sitting on all the shelves of all the optical stores around the world represents tied capital. It's money that's sitting there. It's not freed, and right? So what nature wants to do is it wants to free that up. And that will make it more efficient. So what we've enabled is opticians to create designs of glasses to either stock on their shelves if they want to stay in the inventory world, or to do bespoke. And that allows them to reduce the amount of tied capital and offer a more efficient business model to them. But more than that, it's about the service, the experience, and that personal connection you make with the patient when you create something new together. Now, when you buy a pair of glasses off the shelf, you know, maybe it's cool, but everyone has the same, so there's no special meaning to it. There's no sentimental value. But when you spend time maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour with your optician to create the frame that you want, your dream frame, you have a different sentimental value, a different attachment to it. So what we do is after you've designed your frames, we send you pictures and videos from our production sites where you can see the craftsmen and women making your eyewear. So for a lot of opticians and consumers, they never go to an eyewear factory. They never see the inside of an optical shop. So this system allows them to see how their products are being made, and it allows them to have a direct connection to the providers. And that's something that's meaningful, that goes beyond money, something that we call social capital. That has a value that's over and above the transactional value of the eyewear themselves. But believe it or not, that social capital, that is what's going to keep the customers loyal, returning, referring their friends, and on average, spending up to 40% more. And for those reasons, we believe bespoke is the future.
Couldn't agree more.
So in terms of your questions about technical components of designing eyewear, I want to think of it more of an artistry or a creative craftsman type of endeavor. Whenever an optician is working with a customer and trying on frames, the customer will try on the frame. And if the optician has any experience, they'll look at the customer and they'll know within a moment if that frame is right or not for that consumer. And if it's not right, if it's too big, if it's too small, if it's too thick or too thin, if it's the wrong color, if the shape of the eyebrow line or the cheek line or the cat eye, if any component of the glasses isn't right, they'll have to go back to the wall of frames and pick a different one. But the optician instinctively knows how to fix that frame. If they could stretch it or morph it, they could make the frame perfect. And that's essentially what we're enabling the opticians to do. Rather than go back to the frame board and dig through the needle of haystacks and find different frames that try on, take off, repeat, we give you a tool to create a frame that has the perfect proportions, eyebrow line, cheek line, PD, decentration, optical parameters, ideally an optimized frame for the individual. And this is what's going to create that really powerful stickiness that leads 3DNA clients to become repeat customers.
Cool. That's great. I like that.
So we started off as the first digitally native eyewear brand, which means we're the first to create inside of a virtual environment, not in physical, create in digital first, and then produce physical. So all of our goods always start off in this environment first. Now, we initially intended this to be a design environment to make bespoke eyewear for individuals. And we do quite a bit of that. But we also do what's called fully elastic production, which means you can order one, you can order two, or you can order 2,000. So there's no MOQ. You can order as many or as few as you want. And the pricing and the production will be fully elastic. So that gives you ultimate flexibility, whether you want to do bespoke, start your own brand, or be a mobile optician. All of these now have a much lower friction and a far lower barrier to entry in terms of cost, times. Now, you will have to spend some time practicing with our app, but that's the price of admission, shall we say.
Yeah.
So
I think,
then,
go on, Nathan.
sorry, go on. I was going to ask about the app, and you know, obviously, you've done a lot of research into it, and how are opticians finding it, and you know, is it intuitive? Do you think they'll be able to use it pretty straightforwardly?
You know what? We have 3 different user experiences in the design app. The one you guys have seen is called Ninja Mode. So myself, I'm an optical ninja. I'm a master optician. I'm also very good with technology. My partner, C, she's a technical wizard. So we're both on the ninja mode of the app. We built the ninja mode first because we're ninjas. But we realized not everyone else is a ninja. So we've also built other modes called Swipe, which is like Tinder for eyewear. Swipe left, swipe right. This is like an algorithm that can help you to pick it. Very simple, very basic. You know, this is for most people, is they can use the swipe. But there's another one that we have. It's called the Wizard. And the Wizard is a 10, 12, 13-step process where you pick the color, you pick the shape. It just walks you through, and it limits your choices in an escapement or in a stair-step manner, so that you can't have a free-form design. But if you're really advanced and you want to go to the top level, you can go to Ninja Mode, and Ninja Mode is a free-form tool. It's kind of like Photoshop for glasses. lots of buttons, lots of menus, lots of colors, lots of pop-ups, anything you can imagine, we've done it. So how we've done that is we've got about 1,000 bespoke orders, probably under 500 optical shops using the app, and we've used their feedback, their requests, their comments. We've used the information that they've given us to build the app. So essentially what 3DN is a design app for and by opticians.
So, I mean, that if you think about it there, Dennis, there's lots of flexibility, and flexibility is great, as you say, but I like the fact there's three different levels, because if people are worried about how many choices of material they have, how many colors they have, what do they do, what do they not do, all of that side of things. So they're probably thinking, yeah, I'm not that used to designing, and so they may be a bit worried, but at least this way you can work your level up to a ninja level, can't you?
And some opticians said, listen, we're really busy practice, and sometimes there's only 4 opticians, but there's 5 customers and 1 is waiting. And normally while they're waiting, they're sitting on a chair reading a magazine. So they said, what we would like you to do is make a mode for the kiosk that lets the customer do it by themselves, so that if we're tied up, we won't lose them and they'll be interactive. And then once they're done, the kiosk will go ding, 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 and then the optician knows that they're ready to do the checkout, the fine tuning and the checkout. So this was in response to their feedbacks, to be honest.
Brilliant. Excellent. I like that. So actually, as soon as they can, it's a complete sort of a platform, if you like, right the way through from when they come in.
It's an ecosystem. As opticians join and give us their data, give us their feedback, we build it in. And so this is just like you can think of it as a blockchain for optical, if you will.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's great. Okay.
So
something else that we did that's really cool. Let me say something else really cool before we jump to that. I want to talk to you about what's called cut to fit, because when you make carbon fiber eyewear, or when you make platinum eyewear, or when you make wood eyewear, you can't bend it behind the ear and adjust it very much. So
correct. Yeah.
Most opticians are very loath to carry wood products because you can't adjust them. And I, as an optician growing up in my father's optical shop in my grandfather's lab, I never in my whole career had dealt with wood frames. They just weren't a thing. But in Asia, they're popular, and I experimented with them. So now what we've been able to do is do a technology called cut to fit. So if you see our scans, we can resolve the ear and the nose and all the shape of the face extremely precisely. And that allows us to cut the bend into the temple of the frame.
Perfect.
Once the frame is on.
Yeah, perfect.
And so this gives you this form fitting. It almost feels like it's part of your bone structure, because it's mating to the skeletal structure of the bridge of the nose, the front of the skull, the temples, and the mastoid bone. All of these structures are perfectly complemented by the material. So when you put it on, it doesn't slip, it doesn't fall down, and it gives you a superior fit. Now, this takes practice to achieve this level of skill. You're not going to get this on your very first bespoke order. I'll tell you that right up front. There's a learning curve to this, as there is to anything. And what we find is that a lot of opticians, not a lot, but some don't make it through the learning curve, either because they're too busy with the old model or because it's too difficult for them. And we realize that's not for everybody.
No, that's okay. But the important thing is that you have the flexibility to do that. There's lots of people. If you get a guy who's got a really wide temple width and a really wide head width, or a petite lady, what do you do with these people? You either show them the kids' frames, or you show them maybe 3 frames or 4 frames in your practice, right?
Yes, you nailed it. So here's a good example. This is a kid's frame, or it's a frame for a small person, but we made it with a really long temple so it can fit an adult.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's the difference. We find that people want to buy something custom made and bespoke, but they can't find anything in the practice that fits.
This is a big problem, and to try to solve it with inventory was the way that they did it, because that was the only way to do it. Yeah. But now that we have another way to do it, once opticians become fluent with the tool and see how much simpler and easier it is, they'll say, "Why did we ever do it the old way? This is obviously more." So this is where things are going. And now, in addition to that, there's a couple other things I want to talk to you guys about. So one is the digitally native eyewear brand, and 2 is the bespoke atelier network.
Okay. Tell us more.
Right now, there's a lot. I don't know how much time we have, but there's quite a bit more.
Go for it.
In Europe, especially in Europe, there's a rich tradition and history, a culture of bespoke craftsmanship of eyewear. In Italy, France, in Germany, in the UK, among other places, Hungary, Turkey, it's everywhere. And even in Asia, there are Japanese, Korean, Singaporean, Hong Kongese, Chinese bespoke shops, people that are making it with a handsaw, with a file, doing the labor of love, selling it successfully. But those successful bespoke ateliers have always been limited to their local geographic markets.
Mm-hmm.
So now that they have seen the 3DNA bespoke ecosystem, now they can go from local brands to global brands. And that's huge.
Brilliant.
Right? And because of this digitally native ecosystem, if entrepreneurs want to start a brand, they don't have to have a big expensive capital. They don't have to have a lot of warehouse to put the inventory. They can do it all digitally. And that is also very powerful.
Okay, that's interesting. So if I saw an image,
We've already got 4 or 5 brands in the pipeline that are being onboarded. So these are guys, opticians who retired. They want to do a brand. So we advise them with brand advisory. We help get them their brand name, their image, identity, all that stuff that they need to be vetted into the ecosystem properly. And then now their orders all their customer orders are generally all bespoke. So this is creating a whole new branch in the tree of optical.
Brilliant. And that means that any practice could do their own bespoke brand if they wanted to, right?
You can do your own, you can do a co-brand, you can make it the patient's brand. The one thing we cannot do is make it with no brand or no marking on it. By law, it must always have a mark.
Okay, gotcha.
That's actually, that's one of the questions that's come up. Tony's asked that. Because obviously here in the UK now, we're not part of Europe. Would these need to be CE marked? And he also said, what about the repairs and replacements? Do they get, so the designs, they all get stored on the app?
Yes, everything is stored in the cloud. So if you lose everything in a fire or a flood, everything's backed up. So don't worry. In terms of the production, so there's the Bespoke Atelier network that we're going to be onboarding in the next few months, who can use the platform, and then opticians or consumers who want to access them can use the platform. And opticians in the UK or around Europe who want to use this, they can onboard, they can practice learning how to use it, get fluent with it. And it takes about 2 or 3 months of practice before they can really get the ball rolling and be very fluent with it.
Okay, great. And in terms of repair, in terms of the repair, you're saying that if an arm broke on my slide or it got chewed or something like that, you could replace it.
Yeah, so we can send parts. You don't have to send things back to us. But I also want to go a little bit broader here for a moment, if I may.
Yeah.
So the future is distributed production, and that means localized producing, not made around the other side of the world and shipped overseas with the labor. It's going to be the future things will be all made locally. So to that end, our company is producing both desktop and optical lab level production equipment for mass customization to make bespoke. So if you want to put this technology in your practice, or you want to put the production technology in your lab to make the eyewear, that is what we are enabling. So in the near future, you can say, I don't want to order from 3DNA Hong Kong. I want to order from 3DNA UK, or I want to use Luis in London, or I want to use my local lab in Germany. I want to use the lab that's closest to me because it's local and it's quicker. So that's really what we're facilitating, is the entry of all of these stakeholders into this ecosystem, and that includes optical labs. So do you guys remember my first company?
Chemistry.
Right.
Yeah.
This one. You guys remember chemistry?
Just tell us. Just do a quick summary if people don't remember it, Dennis. Because I don't know whether Nathan will know it. I know it.
Okay, this is my first invention. This is called chemistry magnetic lenses. Chemistry magnetic lenses by Dennis George Zelazowski. He's the inventor, not. Okay, and then all of these. So before Dennis, the labs could only make a single pair of lenses per frame. Now that was great, but the labs are business people. They want to make money. So how could the labs make more than one pair of lenses? And that was my key insight. By putting the magnet into the lens, you can now make a layer for any pair of frames. You can base curve match it, so the curves of the layers match. There's no scratching, there's no inner lens reflection. You're matching, and then the customers can pick all the colors that they want. They can pick any color lenses, they can pick any color titanium bridges, they can pick any color magnets, even Swarovski crystals they can customize their eyewear with, right? So the labs kind of died and went to heaven. They were like, wow, we just doubled our sale by $50 or $60, $70. So the labs are like, what else have you got? So I said, give me a minute, guys. I'm gonna go to China for a few years, and here we are. So now we're gonna offer the labs the ability to not double, but more like triple their average sale dollar amount. And that should make them see green.
Yeah. So Dennis, I was going to ask you, you know, given what's gone on with the world with the pandemic and where we are a year later, what we've learned, what impact do you think it's going to have, and what role do you think 3DNA will have? Perhaps, you know, in some ways you're very timely.
My most honest answer that I can possibly give you, Nathan. We have sent the coronavirus to reset the simulation. 3DNA is going to release the synarchy. Basically, we're going to facilitate the digital creative renaissance. This is called the creative renaissance that we're going to facilitate or enable. And then we do this by a series of tools and technologies that we use. Creativity has been going on since the beginning of time. You could even say it's in our DNA. And do you know how you say 3DNA in Chinese?
I don't know.
It's pronounced sun DNA, sun DNA. So what sun DNA is another metaphor, allegory, or parable. It's a parable, right? It's a wave, it's a pendulum. We're going to all join it together. That's what coronavirus is here to do. It's here to give you a page out of this, right? We're going to give you new ways to see the environment. We're going to give you a new lexicon to understand what you see, and we're going to give you new tools to interact with it.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And these guys are our inspirations. So these are the savants. These are the guys that have, you know, savant, or you could call it synesthesia, a combination of senses.
Yeah.
They use the combination of senses to enhance creativity. And this is called state of flow. So we studied what's called the flow state. A group of scientists and researchers wanted to understand what makes a happy life, what gives the ultimate career fulfillment and overall life satisfaction. And what they found is that people that worked in industries that were creative, that love them to be in the flow state, so think chefs, ballet dancers, artists, draftsmen, engineers, bus drivers, they're not thinking, they're just doing all day. So when they're doing, they're in the flow. So we wanted to try to bring that concept and put it into the optical profession. And so using our design app, you get creative, you create something new and fresh every time, you make a bond with a customer, and once you get good at it, it just flows. It's fun. It's like play. So if we achieve our goal, it'll be for opticians to make work indistinguishable from play.
Cool. I'm up for that, Dennis. No worries. I'm up for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the role of the optician is going to change, isn't it? I think as the role of anybody else. Yeah, I mean, everything's going to change in terms of the high street, why you go to an optician. Hopefully for the better. I think people will, like you know, bespoke. I think if there's that is something that people can offer, then, you know, I see the optician as being fundamental in kind of revitalizing town centers, and I think what you're doing, Dennis, is giving people a reason to go back to the optician as well, isn't it? And an added opportunity.
Absolutely, but what we're also allowing them to do is to create global brands of themselves. And that is a key play, because they have always prior been limited to local geography. But if they're bright shining stars, or if they're great organizers, or if they're very good at optimizing things, they can grow to the limit of their capability.
I think what I find amazing is that we are in a situation where we may be seeing less patients, but we have more time with our patients now. Okay, and if you have more time, then why would you not customize a pair of glasses? Why would you not give them that experience? Why would you not make it bespoke? And if you make it bespoke and you create that emotional content and bond with that person, why would they go anywhere else anyway? You know, they are your ambassador. They are the people who actually talk to other people and say, yeah, you know, if people say, well, that's a cool pair of glasses, they're going to say, where did you get them from? Job done, right? That's the ultimate recommendation. Why else would you go anywhere else? If you build that emotional bond, you will always go back, right? That's a given, and that's with anybody, dentist, doctor, anybody. You know, people travel miles to see that same person because they trust that person to do an excellent job of what you ask them to do.
My father had people come from out of state to see him because of his chairside manner. So I understand that. I believe it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So in that sense, this is an opportunity for opticians not only to offer something bespoke, but also be part of the creative process, which, like you say, we've been hampered a bit. We've been given the frames and said, there you go, choose. And if we think that that color isn't quite right, or the temple length isn't too correct, or whatever, well, we'll try and find you something else. That's not the case. The case is now that you've provided an ecosystem, as you say, to actually make something that's totally tailored to that person, just like a suit, and then people take value and pride in it, right?
Our ecosystem is the doorway. It's the secret doorway to escape from the inventory prison.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so much money tied up in stock, so much you need to manage the stock. You need to make sure that it's not going to be stolen. You need to make sure it's not going to be written off because you couldn't move it and put it in the sale. All of it, and that's a massive amount of money that, you know, people need to do a stock take every quarter to say how much money have we got sitting on the shelves. Why?
Right. So this research came from a detailed study into the essence and nature of value. What is value? And we found that what it is human interactions. That is the real value. In fact, nobody ever died, or nobody ever committed suicide because they're hungry. They commit suicide because they're lonely. And that should give you a clue that social interactions are, even in some sense, more important than food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
Well, Dennis, as I've organised events for 20 years of my life, I really hope you're right. Because, but then we know that, you know, the events industry sees it. We know that all we hear is we can't wait to get back to seeing each other, meeting each other, social interaction. So, yeah, absolutely agree with you. We've got a few kind of practical questions here. I don't know if you want to answer some of these. Yeah, so one of the things was, what if they don't like the frame? What if your customer doesn't like the frame?
So we're flexible. The name of the game here is customer happiness. If they're not happy, they can pick a different color, pick a different material, choose a different designer. We'll remake it once or twice or however many times until they're happy. Now, generally, you know, we are only, hold on a second. Hey, I'm on this live webinar. Hey, can you join the webinar? That's my good mate. That's Dan Stizo. He's a very famous MC from the Netherlands.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Dan Stizo, one of my really good friends here in Hong Kong. Really, really good friend. Hopefully he'll be working with us in the future.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So if they don't like the frame, then you can sort that out.
Yeah, we all sort it out. Whether they want to change color, if it's a little too tight. You know, we generally run on the tight side of things in terms of fit, and for some people it's not. So we'll make longer temples or we'll make a bigger front. You know, they can make a, you know, we call this like a library or a straight temple.
Yeah.
So all of these parameters we can adjust. We'll make sure everyone's happy. That's bottom line.
Okay.
Well, that was Tony. So Tony, I hope that answers your question. I've got another one from Ronald, which is similar to the one about the CE mark. What product testing do you do to ensure that your spectacle frames comply with the requirements of the medical device directive or regulation? If they're custom-made devices, are your customers aware of the implications of being totally responsible for the frames that they supply?
Interesting question.
Yeah, all of the factories are ISO and CE 2012 certified.
Great.
In Europe, if they're made locally, I don't know what the local certification laws are if you buy something that's a handcraft. Generally, those specifications are for mass-produced commodity goods, not for handicrafts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cool. All right. Well, let us know, Ronald, if you've got a further question there. A few people have asked this about delivery times as well. So I guess depends on the local,
Right, so
I guess, facility.
Because we have what's called a dam, and behind the dam are all the backlog of people that want to come into the ecosystem, and people are leaking through the dam, and those people that are already through the dam are putting orders through, and even those orders that are through are backlogged. And then we just had Chinese New Year. We don't have the digital production problems totally solved yet. Your order could take anywhere from a week to 2 months, to be honest with you, due to these unpredictable nature of China and the factory culture here. The factory culture and the social norms of Chinese factories are about 180 degrees opposite to America and Western. So it's very difficult to operate there. But as the bespoke atelier network comes online, as Luis in UK comes online, as all these local factories bond into the ecosystem, the opticians and consumers have a choice of which production site they opt to use.
Okay, got you. Okay, so yeah, it just depends really on each individual order.
Right, so in the beginning, we have to do everything. We have to be the tech provider, we have to be the brand, we have to be the factory, we have to be the market, we have to do all of it. But then once it's set up, then we can let the other factories have their own brand, and we just are the glue that holds everything together.
Yeah, got you. Okay, cool.
So there's another one here which I'm not, well, it's from, I think, someone who's a locum. Pritesh has asked, how can a locum benefit from this? Yeah, I don't know if that's something that you've already thought about.
So is the locum a temp worker that floats from different practice to different practice, or are they like a mobile optician with their own brand?
No, I think a locum generally would be somebody who works in different practices.
So what I would encourage them to do whenever they onboard is to let us work with them to develop their own personal branding. Over the long time, developing a personal brand will be far more valuable than being a locum. And then whenever they are the locum, they can say, hey, I'm this KOL or I'm this famous locum, and that can raise the value that they can earn as they traverse the practices.
Yeah. So we have what you'd say is we have Dennis, our designer, visiting on Thursday. Please book in with him because he's the one who can give you the bespoke eyewear. Amazing. I like that idea. Yeah. So you're building your own little network of people.
Your niche.
Yeah, your niche. Yeah. Nice.
How you attack the market, you find a niche, you get your finger in the niche, and then you get your second finger in the niche, and then you just keep building from there. And then before you know it, you've got to eat.
Yeah, lovely. I like that. Yeah,
the bowling pin strategy or the beachhead strategy. You get the beachhead. Once you get the beachhead, you do the assault.
Yeah, good. I like that. So there you are. That's a new one for locums to think about. If you have that styling, you have that passion to do that, then that's something you could do yourself. Yeah, great. Good stuff.
Absolutely. This is a tool to let your passions release. If you look at Optical as a job 9 to 5 to get your leave, if you're looking at the clock, this isn't for you. This is for somebody who wants to make their life thrive, flourish, and be all they can be as an optician and more. And in terms of the Janus point, the Janus point talks about the theory of time, but what it really is a great metaphor. It's a great parable about perspective. So for people who have not crossed the Janus point, they're looking to the past, the old way of doing things, inventory, stuck in a rut, the same habitual patterns and cycles that they're used to. But once you see the realization of the efficiency in the optimized way, you cross the Janus point. And then the efficient, easy way becomes obvious. Why would you look backward whenever you're not going that way? You're going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Any other questions there, Nathan? I can't see on the screen there. Oh yeah. Let's have a look.
Any
Yeah,
questions, Nathan?
A few people have asked about investment. What investment is necessary? So I guess this is people who would want a scanning machine in their
I
practice.
mean, if you want to invest, if you want to be an owner, you can put your Bitcoins or your cryptos into the company to buy stock. If you want to buy furniture or equipment, we have furniture, small, medium, and large. If you want to just buy a computer or a tablet and you want to get a very light package to start with, you can do that. Now, I don't recommend it, but if you're really tech savvy, you can use your own computer. If you're not tech savvy, you can spend $3 grand or $4 grand with us, and we'll get you the equipment you need to get started. And the equipment that you're going to get from us is super powerful. It's the most powerful technology, the most powerful PC, the most powerful processor, the most amount of RAM, the smoothest experience, so that you won't have any kind of glitches that you might have if you use your own PC.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, fair enough. So that's covered that side of things. Anything else?
I mean, obviously, Dennis, you very kindly let me have a play with the app on my desktop. I've got it in a demo mode at the moment. I don't know if you want to show people or if you want to wait until.
Let them YouTube and Google for themselves. If any opticians out there want to play with 3DNA and experiment, I encourage you. Download our app from 3dna.org. Have a play around. If you get stuck and need help, send us a message. Someone will be in contact to help you and assist you and get you into the team.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I have to say, only 40 minutes. I've had a chance to play with it. I say play with it, and I loved it. I mean, I'm not obviously an optician. I'm not a trained optician, but just the it's fun. But also the sheer choice of products on there, materials, shapes, the tools you can use, and so on. It's kind of mind blowing. How long has this taken you to program and develop?
Ever since I left chemistry in 2012, I moved to Hong Kong in 2012. I've been working on this since then. So R&D, research, 4 years, market testing. So I want to talk about some additional ways for income streams, new revenue, new income streams for opticians. Okay. So what we used to do is offer a service called design checking, which means after you do a bespoke order, myself or one of our techs will check it and make recommendations to you from a human, not an AI, a real person. Now that takes some time, and so we've discontinued that process. But if an optician wants it, and another optician in the network is good enough to check the design, they can earn $25, $35 US to do a design checking for another optician.
Great.
And let's say that you don't want to do any inventory, you don't want to do any billing, you don't want to do any financial things, you just want to do design sessions from your home and never go to work in your office again. You want to live in your pajamas, let's say. You can market yourself on 3DNA's ecosystem. People can use their app from home to scan their face. They can connect through our app in real time, just like we're doing this webinar through 3DNA's app, do a design session or tell a design session. At the checkout, the customer will be able to pay with the app, and they will pay us. And then as the optician sitting at home in their pajamas, they'll just get between $100 and $200 for half an hour's worth of designing. No billing, no inventory, no work clothes, just work when you want, get paid when you want. So those are two new, totally novel revenue streams that we're introducing, in addition to the digitally native and so on and so forth.
Great. Okay. So lots of different ways, lots of different streams of utilizing the app and finding different ways to work, because that's what's happening at the moment. People are now in a situation where they may be furloughed, they may be redundant, all sorts of things happening in their lives in terms of the work structure, and they're trying to find out different ways of actually getting to the root of what they want to do, which is if it is that you like designing frames, then that's that's one way through. Great. Lots of different paths. Brilliant. The one thing I wanted to ask, sorry,
this is called unexpected or unanticipated use cases.
Okay, great stuff.
Based on what's happening now, we are in the eyewear vertical, optical. But what is happening now is you're going to see 3DNA expand into other industries that are not optical relation, but are optical
Okay.
adjacent. Stay tuned.
Sounds good. Keep posted. That's why they've got to sign up with you guys. That's the reason why they have to sign up, right? They have to download the app and sign up, because you don't know, you're the future. So it's going to happen there, isn't it? That's the way it's going to happen. Yeah, great
Yes.
stuff. I think we're there. Is there anything else, Nathan?
I was going to say, it's a light show. You'll get. There's a lot of people, Dennis, asking for details on pricing. So what we'll probably do at the end of this webinar, there's a survey, and they can say if they want you to get in touch, they just tick a box. So when people leave this webinar,
I can tell you that nothing is below $100 US wholesale. And I can tell you that the markup is usually between 2.5 to 3.5 markup.
Okay. That's fine.
Fantastic. Well, what people can do, Dennis, is we can sort of hook you up afterwards. They can, if they click the box, we can then put you in touch with them, and they can contact you and so on. So a few people are asking for the app as well, so that's good.
That's good news. Yeah.
Get them on there as well. So brilliant.
Any other questions? I'm just checking the questions. Nathan. Can the general public use the app?
No. So there's two apps. For the phone, we have the scanning app. The phone has the scanning app on it.
Yeah.
And then the Windows computer has the designing app.
Okay. Gotcha.
Use this to get the scan and do the live telemetry. Yeah. And then use Windows to do the design, creation. And those two apps, they connect.
They talk to each other.
Like we're talking now, they connect.
Okay. And is it only on iPhone, Dennis?
It's only on phones that have these infrared dot projectors or iPads. So iPad Pro 2012, no, 2018, 2019, 2020 iPad Pros, and any one of these, you can see these. Let's see here. See the purple light flashing?
Yeah.
This is an infrared projector. It's an infrared projector. So it's projecting a matrix of dots on your face, and that's how your iPhone recognizes it's you and doesn't unlock your phone for your sister or your brother.
Okay. So it's using that same technology.
Yeah, and because Androids and Oppos and Vivos and all the other Huawei's don't have that same sensor inside, there are ways to do it with pictures, but they're not as accurate as with that sensor. And so for that reason, there's how many 100 million iPhones out there? That's probably enough for us to get started with.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I did it this morning. It's really, with an iPhone, it's very, very simple. It takes seconds, doesn't it, as well? So someone's just joined and asked if we will be offering this as a download. I can confirm that we will, so anyone can go back and watch it. So we'll send the link to everybody as well, so you can rewatch this too as well. So brilliant. I think
I think that's all the questions, isn't it, Nathan? I don't think there's any more questions I can see.
No, and I think what Dennis, what we could do is maybe invite you back in May when we've got our virtual event. It's over 2 days. We could do, maybe if you wanted to do the demo of the app, then whatever, let's maybe continue this, because I think there's obviously a lot of interest. It's going to be huge, and it's really exciting to see how the future could pan out for 3D and opticians.
Excellent.
I'm just amazed with the technology and all the different ways that you can generate a new pathway, if you like. So that's the exciting bit for me. I just sort of think that you have to really sit down and think about the different ways you could collaborate with you. And on that basis, that it's a game changer, to be fair. So glad to have you back on, and actually, I know you said you wanted the whole thing, and me and Nathan were going, really, whole thing? Do you think and he's like,
yeah, 5 minutes wasn't enough.
I need the whole thing. I've got lots of content, and there you are. You proved this right, Dennis. You've got it all, and it's been fabulous.
The only limits are your budget and your imagination.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
This is
Brilliant.
a spherical lens. Spherical lens.
Good stuff.
Ah. So
Yeah.
Dennis, it's late in the evening for you. Well, although I suppose, yeah, not that you seem to ever sleep, but I think we're going to leave you there, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon. And thanks, Jay, and brilliant.
Thanks
everybody
indeed.
for joining.
Bye. Thanks for joining us from Hong Kong, Dennis. Bye.
Guys,
Bye.
see you soon.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.